Katie and Matt, walking the scene with you in old flicks from the 90s. So keen, the VHS Club, they're the talk of the town. Breaking it down, spreading nostalgia all around. Moving and grooving to the synth-pop sound. Their insights so fresh, painting pictures profound. From Pulp Fiction to Clueless, they know it all. The genuine love for movies stands tall. Unfolding memories on that VHS screen, talking about classics like you've never seen. Katie with her charm, Matt with that wit. Together they make the VHS Club legit.
Welcome back to the VHS Club. Hey, Nat, how's it going?
Hey, not bad. How are you?
I'm good. Thursday crept up on us faster than it should have, given that we had an extra day because we did Wednesday last week. Like,
Yeah,
huh,
it did.
yeah. But it's okay because we're pretending it's still October, and we're also pretending that October went smoother than it did. So join us in our last spooky, silly horror comedy of the season. Ernest
Kids
Scared
movie.
Stupid. Yeah, kids movie. I'm going to put a question mark next to that, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. Well, it was for kids in the late 80s, early 90s. Yes.
Yes.
For the Nintendo Gen X kids.
Yes, exactly. But first, before we jump in, we need to welcome all of our live studio audience taters. So, hey to Paul hanging out, Tater's Scared Stupid today. We have Josh hanging out in the chat, and huge and official welcome to Heroic Waffles. Great name, who is a new
waffles.
subscriber and joining us. We're sorry because we're November, but we're still spooky season because things went crazy for us in October. So join us. You know, November doesn't really have like a seasonal movie, so it feels okay. It's an okay time.
It's hard because we're both Canadian, but you live in the US, and I spent a lot of time with you in the US, and so we're kind of just between two Thanksgivings at this point.
Yeah, we
so
are.
like November is Thanksgiving part 2 for us.
We're in Thanksgiving season.
Yeah. There's not a lot of Thanksgiving movies.
Well, I still really want to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That was a recommendation from someone last week, I believe. And since they made that recommendation, I've been like seeing memes and like graphics for it everywhere. So I'm having feelings.
I feel like there's some horror turkey movie.
There you go.
Like some murderous demon turkey killing people. I've seen that.
Well, that works because apparently Heroic Waffles is all about 24/7 spooky movies and Halloween. So we're in a perfect zone. Well, apologies to Josh. I sent Josh this movie so that he could watch it, but US to Canada never works well for sending things. So hopefully Josh can give us a report back as we spoil this movie for him tonight.
In like 3 to 6 weeks.
Oh, I sent UPS, so it might be faster.
Ooh,
but
should be.
But should be. Yeah. All right. So Nat, take it away. And spoiler for everyone watching, Nat and I differed in feelings and remembrance of this one, so it should be a fun review.
Yes.
So Nat, I'm ready. I'm ready for like the Ernest Scared. I have DVD, not VHS, but we'll pretend. Go ahead. Tell us what this one's about.
All right. It is about
That's like
wow. How do I put this into words? It is about an unintelligent man who is told he needs to take responsibility to vanquish a evil troll from turning the town's children into wooden dolls.
Well,
That
you
that's
you
it.
failed to mention that he also causes the trolls to come.
Yes, he does. It's all his fault, and it's his ancestors' fault. It is just
Yeah.
historically and ancestrally his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
And
gonna
yeah, that's about it.
all right. That's a good you're getting better at
It's
the fast
succinct.
one-liners for describing these movies. I'm gonna jump right in and say this, and this is not even like this is not my genius idea or thought, because certainly there were a lot of blogs and articles and reviews that I read and watched that said the same thing. But I was about
Mhm.
halfway through rewatching this, and I've seen this movie, I don't even know, hundreds of times.
A
But
few times.
but but I was about halfway through watching this, and I was like, this movie, this movie's a lot like Hocus Pocus. This is like go with me on this journey, right? So you have
I've heard.
yeah.
Somebody said this deserves to have the Hocus Pocus treatment, like being a cult classic.
It is a cult classic. I know you're not a fan, Nat, but it is a cult
For our
classic.
listeners, my facial expression is like, the fuck are people talking about? Have you seen this?
So I
Yeah.
have the button to mute you, Nat. So just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. I love this movie. This is my cult
Yes.
classic movie. So I will just put that out there. But okay, so similarities to Hocus Pocus. So you have this it's Halloween. Well, that doesn't
Yes.
really count, but let's just put that out there. So there are a group of kids. It starts with kids in school giving like a presentation on like
Mhm.
the spooky history of the town. So that's the first kind of moment of similarity where I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then it's trolls instead of witches, but same
Yes.
general concept. And in the same way, really on the line of being like inappropriately scary for children, because in both movies the witches and the trolls like suck the souls slash life out of the children. Like that's their thing for one
Yes.
reason or another. They like legit kill the kids in like a
They're
slightly
harming
less
children.
yeah. And then you have the comedy overtones of like in Hocus Pocus the witches are somewhat comical, which makes it a little less scary, and in this one Ernest is an idiot, and so his
Well,
like
he's
slapstick humor makes it less
yeah.
scary. But so you have that. And then you did have two at the end of both of these movies. So in Hocus Pocus, there's like the Halloween ball that all the adults are at and they're like stuck at and they can't get out. So they're like trapped and the kids are basically left to solve the problem themselves. Whereas in
Yes.
this one, there's like another Halloween event that the adults are at. They're not stuck at it. They do eventually come and help the kids. So it's like slightly better for the adults in this one than
Well,
in
it
the
was
other movie.
actually
But the adults were
it was a
trapped
kids'
in Hocus
event.
Pocus. So yeah.
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 In this movie, the parents are taking the kids to their elementary school because it's elementary school kids instead of teenagers.
Yeah, true.
Like in Hocus Pocus, and this one it's
Yeah.
elementary school kids.
Yeah.
And the parents are taking the kids for like a Halloween pageant, like a
Yeah.
costume competition
Yep.
at the elementary school.
Mhm.
So it's like the parents and most of the kids that haven't already been turned into statues
Yeah.
are at this event.
Yeah.
And Ernest spends so he finds out very quickly at the beginning of the movie he's helping these kids that kind of take pity on the village idiot, if you will. And they're getting bullied by the loud rotund children, which usually depict bullies. Which I noticed, especially this week in real life, usually the loud rotund people are bullies.
Yeah, it's funny though, because then you have like movies like Sandlot, which we're gonna cover next week,
Yes.
and
Yeah, not
and
always. I don't
even
want to say
Goonies,
always.
where that
Oh yeah,
character
Chunk
is
is the
like
best.
the lovable, silly
Yeah.
goofball. So you're right, either like
I'm sorry.
bullies or
I
goofballs.
do have a political person in mind when I said loud and rotund equates bully. I apologize. It's that week for the whole world.
Mhm.
Skipping over that part.
Mhm.
So the Ernest is trying to help these elementary school kids.
Yep.
You know, get past the bullying that they're suffering. And he decides to help them build a tree house so they can have the quote unquote higher ground. Like it's a military term strategy.
Yeah.
If you have the higher ground, it's a better defensive position.
Yeah.
So that way, and he sets up the kids so that they can pelt like rotten cans of like old cans of food at the kids and
Yeah.
like old pizza and whatever. So when the bullies come to the trios, they're throwing food at them. It's cute. It's fun. It's
wanted this treehouse, and I'm like, I will draw a comparison to Goonies and to when we talked about Goonies. The thing that I love about this movie, and honestly like about all the Ernest movies, is that there is like it's that like 80s and 90s kid like adventuring and like autonomy where kids were, I mean, granted they're working with Ernest in this, but they build this entire like fantastic treehouse, and like they have this like this world that, that is like they're creating a safe space for themselves, and this like creative space for themselves where it's just so cool. Like, and everything
there's
is
a lot of innovation
and invention, and and I mean it's the same way in all the Ernest movies. It was the same way in Goonies, and in a number of like 80s and 90s movies, which
Hook.
I feel like Hook is like
If we're
sad
talking
that
about
we've
tree
lost,
houses, let's talk
right?
about Hook.
Yeah, exactly. But like this is one of those ones where like I distinctly remember like the treehouse from this movie as being like this is so cool. It's all a set. It's not at all real. It's a complete ridiculous.
It's completely unrealistic that kids can build a treehouse to that caliber.
Yeah. Also, the troll literally comes like out of this is like the tree.
Yeah.
This is again like Fern Gully vibes where like the troll has been like banished into the tree. So like it's like don't cut the tree. Don't mess with the
let's
tree.
not mess with the tree.
Don't mess with the tree.
So of course they do mess with the tree, and then Ernest finds out from, I guess, the town crone.
Yeah, I'll call her a crone.
Played by Eartha Kitt, which was the best part of this movie. Eartha Kitt is just magic in everything she does.
Magic. And rewatching this again, I don't know if I've watched this movie since I fell in love with Emperor's New Groove, or like I probably have, but like didn't really connect the two. But she is Esme. I always pronounce it wrong. Anyway, in Isma in Emperor's New Groove, and the entire time watching this, I was just like, I love you even more. Like the connection of like how similar those two characters are, and her voice, and how just like present and she's like Jim Varney is incredible in his physicality, but she definitely outshines him in this, like with her physicality. And like I read an article,
well, also her skill set too was like way above what this movie called for. She kind of outacted the whole cast.
I read an article that said that basically like she could have literally she's so good at what she does that she could have literally just shown up and done like the absolute bare minimum and it still would have been fantastic. But instead she came in at like 110%, and it really does like, I think she's a very big reason why this movie has such a cult following. But yeah, it is, she is absolutely fantastic. And her house is like, I guess so
it's very
she lives
cool.
in this as you were saying, crone is a great word for it, because she lives in this house that has like metal statues and like art installations like all the way through, and it's all like very like 80s 90s like upcycling and recycling and like very weird but creepy, and like it's whole
also
beginning
to keep
of the
people
movie
away from the woods, and Ernest is the town garbage man, so he's tasked to go and clear out her property for aesthetic purposes. But obviously she's like, you can't do that because I'm protecting the town from the troll that you woke up. Well, so she tells him like, you're the only person who can get rid of the troll because you have the mind of a child. And I guess the heart of a child. The heart of a child. Says, childlike. The heart of a child, it's the heart of a child. I was mean. I'm sorry. and also because it's his family's history, like historically, like his family stopped the curse, so he's the only one who could, or stopped the troll and created the curse trapping the troll, so he has to do the same.
Which is like also kind of weird that he's the only one that can bring it back, but also end it. I like it.
Well, in the kids' book report at the beginning of the
This is her
movie,
book
she's
report.
like,
Yeah.
she's like the whatever their name is. What's his last name in the movie? I can't remember. Anyways, whatever.
Worrell, Ernest P. Worrell.
Worrell.
Yep.
Right. So it's like the Warhols part of the curse is so they trap the troll, but they also get stupider and stupider throughout time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and then it shows him like the lowest common
lowest
denominator
common,
of his ancestral genes, the
Yeah.
poor guy.
Yeah.
But he has a good heart.
Yeah. Jim Varney, like if you are not an Ernest fan or you have not followed him, you really like should at least look up the history of him. He passed away really young. He was only 50 when he died, and he died of
Wow.
cancer. And I guess like in his like while he was going through treatment and like was very sick, like dying sick, he still dressed up like Ernest and did like shows for the kids in the hospital. Like this man like gave and gave and gave. I like again one of the articles that we have in our show notes and in the description here on YouTube gave like an example of, you know, how similar in many ways he was to Robin Williams and what an absolute shame
Yes.
it was that both of them died so young, because it like he was almost like the again the physicality of his comedy and the innocence of his comedy was really unparalleled. Like a lot of the like slapstick comedians and a lot of the like really physical comedy particularly in that time was pretty inappropriate for children, like was pretty like sexualized and like came with like, you know, movies that like weren't overly great for kids to watch. And he was not. He was this like you know, the first 4 movies were backed by Disney. So like he was this kind of like very pure, innocent, like, I don't know, silly character that like, again, there is every opportunity for him to come across as creepy. Like in every single one of these movies, he's like, he's the kind of like bumbling idiot that's like constantly hanging out with children, but at no point does it feel like slimy or inappropriate or weird. And that's just because of like how awesome Jim Varney was as an actor and as a person. So
Yeah, I mean, the character, he looks like he's what, in his 40s, and he's hanging out with like 7 to 10-year-olds. It's kind of weird if you read about it.
yeah, but everyone in town kind of like knows him and is just and
he's fine, he's harmless.
Yeah.
They brush him off.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it helps that also like he seems to have good intentions all the time, even though it always goes awry for him.
Yep.
And also that he's stupid. Like I take that from the title of the movie. Like it's you know, like it makes him, he's childlike in his intelligence, so parents don't feel threatened leaving him with, like, it makes his
He's an
character
adult
more
child.
palatable.
Like he hasn't,
you know, like he is, yeah.
He hasn't like developed past the age of like the child mentally, but it's done in a way that again like doesn't feel overly derogatory. Like I know we were talking before we jumped on the show. This movie definitely, like we will say, has like problematic moments in it. It is dated, absolutely. Or the character of Ernest is dated, but like not. I don't feel as though
verbiage is dated. Some of the jokes are rather problematic.
But I don't feel like he as a character is making fun of.
No, that's not the intention.
He like there are racist moments in it, absolutely there, but like I don't think
Katie's
that,
like what racist moments? I didn't notice. I'm like there are 4 exact times I could think of he made
because I was rewatching this today with it like on in the background while cooking and doing other stuff. But he Jake says it perfectly. He's a human. He really is a human cartoon, and he does walk that line really well. So it's but I do want to bring this up. So there are 4 like official Ernest movies that were made by Disney. So this is the 4th. There are a couple of other movies where Ernest appears. He actually started as like I'm trying to even think of like the right word for it. Like he was doing like he had this character that he was partnering with like an ad agency, and he was doing ads, like funny spoofy ads. And then that somehow got in front of Disney and kind of built into becoming like this Ernest character that then had these 4 like theatrical release movies. This one ended the Ernest like the Ernest movies because it was like not at all what Disney wanted. Apparently, like when they first got the script, they were like, what the heck is this? Like, this is way too scary. This is completely inappropriate for children. Like, no, we're not doing this. Rewrite this. They had initially wanted like Ernest in a haunted house, like kind of vibe. And I guess
they wanted him to be scared, not the children to
and
be turned into statues.
and not, so this movie tanked. And again, in our kind of comparison with Hocus Pocus also tanked in the theater. So like both of these movies were again a little too scary for kids when they came out for one reason or another. And like, and they didn't perform well, but now both have like a pretty like wide following. People love them. Like, Secrets of the Past Parahistory is watching with us live and says like, I saw this movie when I first came out. It's one of my favorites, along with Hocus Pocus, The Goonies, and a number of others. So it does like hold, maybe not for Nat, but for many of us, it holds like a childhood kind of nostalgia to it. But it was scary, and Disney did not like it so much so that they no longer made Ernest movies. The Ernest movies that follow were all like done by a different production company and were like almost entirely straight to VHS or straight to DVD or straight to TV, I guess, if you want to include that.
I can only think of, I remember Ernest Goes to Jail and Ernest Goes to Camp.
Yeah, so jail, camp. Oh, shoot, you're gonna try those were Disney ones.
Yeah,
there's another one in there. Ernest Rides Again, I think. Maybe that's the one right afterwards. There's Christmas. It's jail, camp, Christmas, and then that's not the order, but those are the four that were Disney. Okay. And then there's like a number of other ones that follow. That actually like
Ernest Saves Christmas. Yes, I remember that.
I think
Ernest Goes to School.
I
Ernest
think I
Goes
own
to Africa.
almost all of them. I don't remember Ernest Rides Again. But I do remember. I do remember Army. I do remember Africa. Like some of the later ones, they're all. I mean, in my mind, I think Scared Stupid is one of the better ones. Scared Stupid and Jail, Ernest Goes to Jail, I think are my two favorites of them. But
I don't remember them much, to be honest. Like even when we were like, you asked me like, which one should we do? And you're like, what about this? And I was like, yeah, definitely this. Because I'm like, I remember you loving this movie when we were kids. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, we have to do this and it'll be fun. And rewatching it, it was okay. It was, I don't know. Yeah. It was neither here nor there. There were parts that I thought were really long. Yeah. In like the hour and 20-minute movie, but
it's still. I mean, it's funny. I was talking with
it's serviceable.
Yeah, it is. It's serviceable. That's fine. I'll give it. Like, it's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not a good movie. I know we always have a hard time like reviewing these movies because there's like how well done is this movie? How good is this movie? As well as like how does it make us feel rewatching it? Like kind of our nostalgia scale. And so for me, like I do not at all think that this is a good movie. I think that this is a pretty good kids movie. And I think that Ernest is like a good kids character. Like it's a character that like I would gladly show my children and be and be happy to include them in. But it was funny you said that. So I've been on a journey with my husband Dane because we've been rewatching a lot of these movies together for the show. And I like think he has seen all these movies with me because they like hold such a strong place in my childhood. And like we've been together for so long that I just assume that at some point or another, you or I or both of us have forced him to watch these. And this one he had seen like as a ton as a kid. But I was like talking about the other Ernest movies, which again, we own like almost all of them.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I've never seen any of the other ones. And I was like, what? Like, how have you not seen the other ones? So yeah, so we'll be on a mission. This one also made me want to watch Gremlins. You know how like every movie makes me think of a different movie? This one, and I'm going to go to this graphic. Sorry if you're listening, but we'll do our best to describe it.
I don't think Gremlins is for children.
Gremlins is not for children. Yeah, no, Gremlins is not for children.
I saw it as a kid and I was like, no.
Gremlins is not for children. So if you are listening to this, the large trolls in this movie, of which there are many, are like elaborate like costume puppet creations, and they're all different. There's like a leader troll, and then there's a whole bunch of other trolls that come to life once they've they've turned enough children into wood.
Yes.
Into wood statues. But I thought this was incredible because, again, this is a kids movie, which, again, is probably too scary for kids, at least in my opinion. And part of the backing up of that is that the people that did the trolls also did the killer clowns from outer space, like the actual killer clowns from outer space.
And they're quite similar too.
Which are terrifying.
That's what the picture we're showing
the
is.
trolls. Like they're
Yeah.
the same. It's the same
Same puppets.
costumes.
Yeah.
Puppets or costumes or things. So yeah, I thought that was pretty
They
great.
sort of changed the paint. They in the Ernest movie they're quite gloopy.
They're boogery.
They're yeah.
gloopy. They're gloopy. They're
Gloopy?
gross.
Ugh.
They're just gross. They're all around gross. I will remove that photo from on display. But I was like, oh, maybe it's a little
I
bit
think
the
maybe
clowns.
The choice of the team that made the trolls, the FX team, was maybe not perfectly matched for a children's Disney movie, is what we're getting at.
Well, so I do want to ask this, and Nat, maybe you're not a good person to answer this, but feel free to anyway. And then the live studio audience, if you watch this as a kid, particularly, definitely chime in and let me know, because I was having this whole debate earlier this evening with Dane about it, because in my mind, what made this movie scary for me as a kid was that like the kids die, like they don't die, but they like appear to die, and they come back at the end. Which is, again, what made Hocus Pocus scary for me as a kid, was that the kid, like the witches kill the kids, suck the life out of the kids. And Dane was like, oh, that didn't scare me.
No, me neither.
As a kid. What scared him was the jump scares in it.
Oh.
And I was like,
I didn't find this scary.
Okay.
Even as a kid.
Even as a kid. Okay. Because when he said that, I looked and I was like, oh, there are actually like a lot of jump scares. So like if you are like the kind of person who is afraid of jump scares,
I still giggle at those.
This one, like the good little girl turns around and there's like a troll in her bed, like and like they do kind of come at you. So I'm like, oh, I wonder.
They're kind of fun.
They're kind of fun. I mean, I enjoy.
I wonder if it's because of this movie that I still giggle every time that happens in a movie now. Like, I think there was one jump scare that got me, and it was in some movie with Harry Potter, the actor Daniel Radcliffe. Sorry. Wow.
Not Harry Potter, but Daniel Radcliffe.
The Lady in Black or something. I can't remember what it was called, but there was one jump scare in that, and then that to date is the only jump scare that ever got me like it actually scared me. Whereas like this, I just thought it was all fun, and I think as a kid, you just have faith partly because you don't know any better, that the kids aren't really dead and somebody's going to save the day. Well, and I did think it was really cool that the kids are the ones who figured out the riddle, and how to save the town. So you had to spray them with milk, because milk comes from a mother's love, which just being female, it kind of there's certain things in this that existing female me it bothers, but because I was like, oh, it's a little whatever, but. So it's like the kids that figure it out, and I always thought that was cool. It was kind of like Wesley in Next Gen, you know, like adults hated him as a kid. I loved him because I'm like, of course the kid is smart enough to figure out, like, I'm like, he's a genius. That's why he saved your butts again.
Yeah.
But I love that in this, and that's what I had faith in as a kid watching kids movies, is that, you know, like you always get through and there's a positive end and you learn how to deal with big emotions and big feelings. That's true. But there's a positivity, like there's a way to get through it. So as a kid, I didn't realize that, you know, hey, realistically, there's not always a way to get through it.
Well, let's talk for a second, because I thought that while I was watching it this time, I was like, well, they don't like, it's actually a little bit less scary than Hocus Pocus, because they don't actually die. They get turned to wood, and and then they have the potential to like be unturned from wood back. But at the very end of the movie, once the kids have basically defeated, like kids and Ernest have basically defeated all of these trolls, the like original kids that were turned to wood like appear. And there's this very awkward moment, because it's like two and two. It's like a brother and a sister and a brother and a sister. And they come like out very confused and like looking around, and they're like clearly wearing like old timey non-90s clothing. So they're
Yeah,
like
like 1600s
1600s clothing. And they
circa
come out,
clothing, yeah.
and but maybe not 1600s, because they come out and then the
They don't have
old
British
crone.
accents.
Yeah, they don't have British accents, but then they come out. The old crone runs up, and she's like related to two of the kids, and like
Yeah, they're like, oh, auntie, like,
yeah, and goes and like
What's
hugs
going
them and
on?
whatever. But then the other two kids, I'm like, no one's gonna like address the fact that these other two kids, like their whole family is dead. Like they're just like they're
Like,
fine. Like no one talks to them. Like she kind of like,
but-
hugs the other two and like sort of touches like one of the girls, and I'm like, it was so
that's
awkward.
the redhead.
It was so awkward.
So what I understood from that, and I feel like it was just some editing, there was some backstory that was taken
Bad
out.
editing,
And
yeah.
the reason I called Eartha Kitt a crone is because she clearly seems to have been around
Forever.
since
Yeah.
the original Curse and Prophecy and
True.
the first time the troll was there, which they equate to the time of pilgrims.
Yeah.
So
1600s of it all. Yeah.
1600s. And so it seems that she's been around since then. So in my mind, she's actually
She's
a witch.
undead.
She is an old crone. Well, not undead. She's
Never
a
dead.
crone.
Yeah.
She's just not dead yet. And,
Yeah.
like the kids are like, "Oh wow, you're so old." And she's like, "I have a lot to tell you about later."
Yeah.
Which she says. And then she goes and makes sure Ernest is okay, because once his little hero moment, like, so before the kids come back and he defeats the troll, I guess the lead troll,
Yeah.
the mega boss,
The
I don't
mega
know, by giving him a hug, like unconditional love is what
Unconditional love
defeats
from the
evil.
heart of a child, not the brain
Yes.
of a child, the heart of a child.
Sorry, Ernest. So he gives him a hug, he vanquishes evil, and then Ernest, like all the parents, all the adults, like people his age, are finally giving him any kind of attention,
Yeah.
because they're kind of all mean to him throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like the cop is kind of the nicest, like the chief of police is kind of the
the
nicest to
sheriff
him,
and the crone
but
are
also
both pretty
kind
nice
of-
to him. Like,
but they kind of are
within
very
reason.
dismissive of him
Yeah.
too. So finally everybody's like, "Oh wow, how'd you do it?" And he's all like hemming it up, and it's like his 15 minutes, which lasts like 15 seconds, the poor guy.
Yeah.
And so Eartha Kitt goes over and is like, "Are you okay?" And then his dog, who got turned
I
into
know, Rimshot. I
a
love
wooden
the dog.
statue,
I love the dog.
turned back into a dog, so
Yeah.
that he's all happy, he has his
Yeah.
happy ending.
Yeah. I'm with Jake, who wishes that Rimshot was in all the movies. He's only in 2.
Really?
Yeah,
I
only in
know.
2. The dog was the best.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Best character in
the
the whole
best.
movie.
Well,
Definitely the smartest.
the dog and Eartha Kitt, whose character
Oh,
name
yes,
I
and
can't
Eartha
remember. What?
Doesn't matter. She's just
Hawthorne,
Eartha Kitt.
Hackthorn, Blackthorn. Anyway, whatever. The crone. We'll call her the crone. But she's got some great lines in this movie. Just from start to finish. I love that. Like maybe this is like where I'm at in my life now, but I love that she just like directly tells everyone like what is going to happen and what they should not do. And then when they do it, she's very like eye roll upset, but like, all right, buckle, like, let's pull out the book and figure out like what we have to do. Like she is the most wonderful like voice of reason, and also like the only adult in the room, and everything that she says and does is just I don't know, just fantastic. Like she again plays. There we go. Paul is helping me. Old Lady Hackmore. I had it memorized, and then we started calling her the crone, and it went right
I'm
out
sorry.
of my head.
I'm not actually sorry.
I do also. Paul has pointed out my my all-time favorite quote from this movie as well. So Trantor the troll says, "You will die for the disgrace of your forefathers," and Ernest says, "I didn't have forefathers. I only had one father, and I didn't know him that well."
That was a pretty good line.
That was a great
I'll
line.
give him that.
It
That
was a
good
great line. I
There's
love
also what was the line? The booger line. The
the booger line. Yeah, I can't remember that one off. But
something
that's
about bumpers and boogers. Anyways, as a kid, that tickled me. I thought that was quite funny. I did love in rewatching this some of the language, like the 80s / early 90s insults, like you butthead. I'm like, when was the last time you called somebody a butthead?
You should. We should go back to that.
Besides me texting that to my brother earlier today.
We should just bring that one back. That's an
Hey,
appropriate one to bring back.
butthead.
Yeah, butthead was great. I love so Ernest's characters, which probably annoyed you, but I
Actually, I liked some of them. I liked his drag
I
characters.
was gonna say I thoroughly love his drag characters.
I
And
liked his like Jersey mom
I
and
love the one with the like neck brace, like
the old lady.
The old lady,
the old
with the
lady
neck
was my
brace.
favorite. Even when I was a kid, the old lady with the neck brace was the best. She's like at the end. So and it's funny because even a kid is like, oh God, I have to basically save the
Yeah.
world with multiple
Multiple
personalities.
personalities, yeah, yeah.
Which is pretty funny. But when the old lady Ernest was like, she had to pull the lever and she's like, oh, if I must. It's like, yeah, dude, you do, you must.
Yeah, she's my favorite.
And then his younger like
Hairspray
housewife in
one,
the
yeah.
like jazzercise outfit totally makes me think that she could have been in the sketch on SNL.
Oh yeah,
about Sweather Weather.
Oh totally. Yeah,
I really liked those characters.
Yeah, I don't know if Ernest ever did SNL, but I absolutely think that he should have.
That would have
not.
been funny.
Especially as his drag characters, because they are absolutely fantastic.
They're the best.
There you go. It's how about a bumper sandwich, booger lips? There's your insult for next time. One of the insults
Booger
you can
lips.
send to Andrew. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have to defend the fort with multiple personalities. Thank you, Tater Tots, for helping us fill in all the amazing quotes. Yeah, those lines were absolutely fantastic. I had a whole bunch of facts. I was trying to think of something. So we talked about
tell them about your
Disney.
favorite part.
Tell them about
You've
my
told me
favorite-
several times today that your favorite part was with the crone.
Oh gosh, now I don't even remember. That's gonna take.
Okay, so
you
the
tell me about
troll-
my favorite part.
The troll shoves Ernest into a giant barrel, like metal barrel.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
like in
this
a
is-
giant can.
Yeah. He's in a
And-
giant can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Take it
she
away.
yeah, and she has like this comically large wrench, which is like not the tool to get him out of the can. And also, why does she have a comically large wrench? Yeah, I had a lot of I mean, not that there's no point in like having questions
Giant can opener.
about a movie like this, but among my questions for this movie were like, why the giant wrench? A wrench does not work the same way as a giant can opener, so like go get your giant can opener. I wanted to know like I guess not really. I sent this quote over to you that like joked about the fact that the kids were building this like giant treehouse with like an adult that they only sort of know in the middle of like a creepy woods that belongs to someone else, and the parents are all totally fine. But that feels very normal for like Gen X kids. Like you're like, it's fine. It's
so weird.
It feels like it works out. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, the kids, which I already talked about. The kids at the end who are like just totally ignored by the fact that like no one that they know is alive anymore, and we're just like celebrating and fine. Yeah, I guess those were most of my questions. I'm with you.
What
that the
I
town
loved
treats him really
was
badly for the most
They
part.
do. He is spectacular at not doing anything correctly. Like,
yeah.
he's the garbage man, and he cannot possibly pick up the garbage properly.
But they still let him have the job, so I suppose.
Well,
there's
he
still-
did get fired in the movie,
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's true.
when the crone is trying to take him out of the giant can with the not giant can opener,
The wrench.
she runs off, and I can't remember why, but she runs off, or like the kids come to find him, I think, to be like, oh, we saw the troll. So she runs off to go with the kids and just leaves him there. We don't actually know how he got out of that, by the way.
He's like both completely incapable and yet also capable. It's a very
Somewhat
weird
capable,
mix.
yeah.
I mean, maybe Rimshot helped him, because I feel like in most of these movies, Rimshot is like the only voice of reason in his world that can help with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love
it.
Rimshot drives the car because Ernest is unsuccessfully fighting the troll off.
Yeah. And again, I probably can't say this enough throughout this show, but like this movie was made in the early 90s. So like in the same way last week we were talking about like the puppetry and just general wizardry of making a movie with like giant man-eating plants. Like let's just appreciate for a second like the costuming and wizardry that went into like all of these trolls. So like shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
And then also like the training that goes into teaching this dog how to do all these things. Like there was no computer animation doing this for the dog. Like this is just like a
No.
dog that someone has trained to do all of these amazing things, which is why in many cases you see like Frasier's another good example of this, but like Jack Russell Terriers are used often
Yeah.
in this because they're insanely smart. They're also
Wasn't
crazy
Wishbone?
high energy. A Wishbone is another example, right? Like,
Yeah, I
so
don't know if that was a Canadian show, but it was a really cute show about a dog
we should do a Wishbone episode.
who would tell us historical stories.
Yeah,
So he would
like
dress up
Odysseus.
as like different characters,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. Let's talk
Super
about the
cute.
Odyssey. Let's do Odyssey Wishbone next. That'll be a good review.
Or Sherlock Holmes Wishbone.
Oh, Sherlock Holmes
Yeah.
Wishbone. Yeah. That's
Anyways,
another
very
nostalgic
cute dog.
childhood. I have to say, like, so I put this, even though I literally am like have the DVD next to me. I put this up on Amazon because I don't know, I just can't help myself. But but as I was finishing it up, Amazon was like, now that you've finished watching this, you might like one of these movies. And it was like Casper, Are You Afraid of the Dark showed up. Like, Are You Afraid of the
Ooh,
Dark
nice.
episodes. I think Gremlins was on. It was like and Hocus Pocus. I think it was like all of the movies where I was like, you're right. I do want to watch all of these. Like I'll be right back, Amazon. I need to be able to do all of these. Oh yeah, The Mask. That was another great one that
Yeah.
had the same dog in it. Not the same dog, but the same type of dog.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
we
like
don't
that's not
know.
easy to like do that level of training for those dogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some again wizardry that
It was
goes
very
into it.
cute. It was cute.
It's cute. See, we're winning Nat over. Not Nat's
We're
favorite,
not.
but very cute. We're not. Nat's like,
I am
no.
not going to be rewatching this movie. So like,
Aw,
I did it for
sad
you
face.
guys.
Next week, Ernest in jail. And the week after,
Oh,
Ernest goes
Lord.
to camp. No, just kidding.
I'd rather do The Rock, which
The
we should do The
Rock.
Rock at some point.
Yeah.
When Katie and I went to San Francisco, her husband was very kind and put up with a lot of us. Um,
hmm
but especially when we went to
Alcatraz,
Alcatraz,
yeah.
and we kept talking in Sean Connery accents to the point where I think
Mhm.
the tour guide shushed us.
Yeah.
Um,
Such a good movie.
even though I think our Connery accents were pretty spot on.
Yeah. I won't do them here
Just
though, because I'll embarrass myself. But yeah, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's like not even a real Scottish accent. It's like, I mean,
It's
it
a
is.
Sean
He's
Connery
Scottish,
accent. Yeah.
but he has some sort of speech thing that's
It's
not
Sean
typical
Connery putting
with a speech.
on a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
It's
a
like
whole-
Shatner, like Shatner putting on
the Shatner voice.
Shatner. Yeah. Hamming it up. Anyways,
Hamming
love
it
love
up.
Connery. But yes, if we're doing a jail movie, Kitty, it ain't Ernest.
All right, fair enough. I will do the one Ernest. I'm happy. This was the one that I most enjoyed.
It
I
was
think, out of-
it was interesting to rewatch and sitting and thinking about it. I'm like, okay, there are fun things about it,
yeah.
but it's really a terrible movie, and I don't necessarily recommend it to anybody to watch. Yeah.
Josh, don't listen to her.
I mean, it's fun, it's slapstick, it's I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just this kind of comedy doesn't always get me.
So this is like what I am very guilty of, and I'm realizing this the older that I get. Most of my people, including Nat and Dane, are not into like the super campy slapsticky humor, and I really enjoy it. Like
But I am at times.
Yeah.
It's super random. Like, give me a Will Ferrell movie basically any day. I
Yeah.
love it. But then something like this, which is that same sort of stupid slapsticky, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. I don't know what the
No, it's
difference
fair.
is.
It's fair.
Yeah. I mean,
It's-
Katie and I were absolutely obsessed with Eurovision.
Eurovision, yeah.
What was this?
Yeah, Eurovision.
Well, we're obsessed with Eurovision, but the Will Ferrell movie.
It's called Eurovision.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know if they actually had
Yeah, you had
the
it.
rights to use the real
Yeah.
name.
Yep.
But I mean, Katie and I had previously, like, we actually know about Eurovision, and I mean, Céline Dion, which is a Canadian national treasure, has won Eurovision, though for Belgium, because I'm not sure why Canada's not a part of it because other Commonwealth
I know,
countries that
yeah.
aren't in the
Well,
EU
because
are.
yeah, I guess wait. Yeah, you're right. I was gonna say we're not from the
I mean,
EU,
like
but
Australia is, and I'm
Mhm.
like, they're partners of the EU, but they're not in the EU, so why aren't we?
Wait, hold the phone. Paul says that we can spend the night at Alcatraz. We really missed an opportunity, Nat. All
Well,
right.
we got to go
We'll go
back.
back. We'll be we'll be right back after this short message. We'll return.
Okay, so next time we go to Alcatraz, we've got to do all the Alcatraz movies.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, we need a plan to head out that way. All right. Well,
So exciting.
we've bantered enough to hopefully give you some time to drop in your ratings. Although I feel like other than a few of my new favorite people, including Secrets of the Past Parahistory and the Nostalgic Pod Blast and Heroic Waffles, you're my people in that you may have a rating or review that is not -1 potato. So feel free to drop those in. Let us know. You could do pumpkins. We should talk for a second. Of course I didn't pull it up in front of me, so apologies, but I do have it in the show notes. This cover that you're looking at here, I don't know if this is like a better picture to hold up my cover, but it's got these like gravestones and everything behind it because apparently again, this movie was supposed to be like a completely different movie than what they released, so props to the people who were just like, nah, we're gonna write it this way. Supposedly it was supposed to be like a haunted like house, haunted mansion story. And then
Yeah.
there's folklore around the fact that the cover alludes to the fact that the trolls were digging up dead people to raise their,
What?
which would have been like completely inappropriate.
That would have been a different movie.
But kind of amazing
To be
if the
honest,
team tried that.
was Ernest really like he wasn't scared much in the movie. Like it would have made more sense from the title if he was like going through, a haunted house or like a haunted cemetery tour or like
Yeah.
something where he got scared more, whereas this he's like in hero mode,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, he's not
he
real-
does have
well,
a couple of but
he runs through the town saying that the trolls are coming, so I suppose he has that kind of
Yeah.
moment, but
but that was to help people.
that was to
it
help-
wasn't
it was to
yeah.
help- it was
He
to help
wasn't really
people.
scared stupid in this movie.
No,
It's like
I-
Ernest was stupid
I forgot
and
my
sometimes scared.
and sometimes scared. I forgot my favorite fact of this movie. So there are two. The bullies. So I will go to my favorite fact last, but the second to favorite fact is that the bullies who are in this movie, which Nat mentioned briefly at the beginning, they get clobbered by pizzas in this movie, and the pizzas that they get clobbered with were from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, because I guess it was the same props guy who did both movies, which makes me really happy. And then my favorite fact about this movie is that it was originally, one of the title suggestions was Ernest Scared Stiff, and it took them a while to be like,
no.
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 I-
That's so inappropriate.
And I think like in some
he's
ways
already like a 40-year-old hanging out with
Yeah.
7-year-olds. Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a dark movie.
I know. And I was just like, I love how like this movie didn't perform and has this cult classic following. And I was like, it feels like at this point we should just refer to it as that, because it's so wrong on so many levels. But
Wow.
definitely one of my favorite facts.
I
Well,
love reading about those like marketing snafus.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, did nobody who approved this?
someone that like wasn't paying the least bit of attention, that was just like, yeah, that's fine,
Yeah.
whatever, and it's whatever, then let's release it. Like it doesn't matter. Does not matter. Well, I was kind. I was gonna give it 4 because this is my, childhood, and that was like
I said I suppose one.
Nat went 1, so I did 3, and here I'll move them over to my side. I'll move them over here. There are 3 over here hanging out with me. Nat doesn't
It
get
gets
any.
one Nat Tater
Yeah,
ish.
Nat doesn't get any. And here, Nat, here we'll
Actually,
do this.
Eartha Kitt.
Oh, I can't.
Eartha Kitt gets 1 tater.
I gotta do this. One sec.
I love her.
Eartha Kitt gets the 1 potato for you. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
And I do love Ernest, like his facial
There you go.
expressions, and he does like a whole he does this thing where he like shakes his jaw like side to side, which we all did as kids.
He's got like a rubber
and-
face. Like he was
Yeah,
able
yeah,
to do
yeah.
like crazy things with his face that that were just incredible. Oh yeah, Paul's reminding me of some of the other facts. Paul, you're so great for this. Paul says the emblem on the side of the Briarville police car reads in Latin "Ignoramus ad infinitum," which means we do not know to infinity, which is perfect.
Love it.
Doc's with me, 3 potatoes. Way to go, Doc. I mean, 3 popcorn for you, 3 potatoes for me.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
so,
Right, it's fair. I mean,
Yeah, it's a nostalgia potato rating. It's my nostalgia potato rating.
yeah.
Well, we should tease. There we go. Potato plus pumpkin solely for Eartha. I'm with
For
you,
Eartha,
Paul.
correct.
Yeah,
Thank you,
correct,
Paul.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct for Paul. Correct for Eartha. Next week we are doing a super special episode, so we should just let people know now. We're trying our first ever crossover episode. So we've had guests come on and we've been guests on other people's show, but upcoming next week. So what are we? Thursday the 7th, November 7th. Hang on, let me open my calendar because I'll screw it up. What is the date next week? The date next week, the 14th. I could have done that 7 plus 7. Yep, 14. So November 14th, 9 p.m.
I don't know
Eastern.
how to work. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
It's so short.
no, it's late. Okay, it's been
Oh,
a long
boy.
week. It's been a long week for me. All right.
Yeah.
So on the 14th, we are bringing on our friends from If These Balls Could Talk Sports podcast to do a sports movie. And because I got to pick, I overruled everyone with Nat's genius idea. Nat was like, here's an idea. And I'm like, everyone else's ideas are overruled. We're doing the Sandlot, which
Woohoo.
I, again, have very strong nostalgic feels from this movie. And I
Yes.
did try to rewatch this one with my
I
kids
have.
a couple of years back. And they were like, turn this off. It's so insanely boring. So I'm like
What?
now excited to rewatch it again
boy.
to see like, is it actually boring?
It's
or
not.
are kids today just crummy
I've
with
rewatched
like
it.
attention, paying attention?
They are. They are. Apparently, it's their programming. I've heard parents on TikTok are like they find their kids are super hyperactive and have little, like very low attention spans.
Mm.
And so what some genius parent on TikTok was like, I only let my kids watch shows from like the 2000s and like before the 2000s.
I mean, that's basically me for my family.
And-
Is only allowed to watch old shows.
Like I
Yeah.
saw somebody who's like, I put on the big comfy couch and all of a sudden my kid was able to like have independent play with the show in the background, didn't need constant stimulation, was able to like grow their imagination. So it was like, it could really just be that kids don't have the attention span anymore that we did. Like not the same, you know, it's
Mhm.
different now.
Mhm.
But I rewatched it, I think last year, The Sandlot, and I still really enjoyed it.
Well, everyone here is thrilled. So Kathy is already quoting everyone's favorite line. You're killing me, Smalls. Doc
Such
is
a good
ready.
line.
So crossover episode next week. We hope you can join us live so you can hang out in the studio audience and get your feedback and your quotes and correct us when we inevitably forget everything and screw
Please
everything
do.
up. And then we will be multi-streaming it. So we live stream all of our recordings if you're listening to this or watching it later. So it actually will also be available out through If These Balls Could Talk. So if there are any people who come over and hang out with us from that side, it'll be really exciting. So yeah, it's same episode everywhere. We're gonna get sporty, and we are not sports people. Nat's more sports
Well.
people than I am. We're gonna
I used to play
pretend to be
baseball.
sporty.
And
Yeah.
basketball and ball hockey. I used to do a lot of sports as a kid. Yeah.
Mm.
Not
I
anymore.
can talk a little bit of hockey, but even then, I can talk like '90s Montreal.
You could talk
hockey.
hockey smack is what you can
talk
do.
hockey smack.
That's-
I can be the hockey,
which is a
smack
sport.
person.
That is a Canadian sport.
Awesome. So Josh has us on Disney Plus, so all of you should be able to watch The Sandlot with us. Great news.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a fun episode. So we promise to be prepared. It's going to be a little crazy because there'll be 5 of us with all of
Yeah.
our opinions and feelings. So it should be a good episode. It should be a good
I just want to shout out, Katie pointed this out to me because I was not fully paying attention to anything this week. We had posted a while back something on our Instagram, and it was a clip from Space Jam,
Mhm.
and it got over 2 million views so far. So
We're
thank you,
viral.
everybody.
I mean, we
and-
didn't create the video; we reshared it. so
No,
we're
it was a
technically not
clip.
viral, but we're really excited to be
No,
viral
no.
adjacent.
And it's not 200 likes either.
Yeah.
It is 200 likes, but it's and comments, which was insane. And like I didn't even, it just happened overnight. And it was a clip about Space Jam. It was the shortest, most money earning product placement sentence in like cinematic history, where Newman from Seinfeld says something to Michael Jordan. Anyways, check out our clip on Instagram if you want to see the clip of that. But like, thank you, shout out to everybody who enjoyed that. It was, and the reason I had posted it is because we were talking about product placement in Batman Returns. In that episode, we talked a lot about product placement and how unhappy McDonald's was, and it occurred to me how happy McDonald's was with their Space Jam product placement, unlike Batman Returns.
And as Matt is
future
brilliantly
episode.
pointed out, we really should have been doing Space Jam next week, but we chose Sandlot, so
Whatever.
we're just going to double down on Sandlot. Oh, I love it. So maybe we'll stick in like a mini sports theme and go into Space Jam. And then I suppose I don't know. I want to do Planes, Trains,
We
and
could do
Automobiles, but
Rudy. I do
know.
love Rudy.
See, you like,
Little Samwise.
for some reason, I don't think I've seen Rudy enough to have a legitimate feeling about it, but in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't want to watch that. And I don't know why. Like, I'm just like, I don't care for that, but I don't actually think that that's the truth. I think I've like told
No, it's
myself
Sean
that.
Astin.
I know, but I don't.
You love Sean Astin.
I do love Sean Astin. I don't know. Maybe I need, like you, who are now a diehard Ernest fan, I need to have my mind changed about Rudy. I need to have my mind changed about Rudy. Oh my gosh.
I mean, we could watch a buff Sean Astin in 50 First Dates, but I don't think that fits our VHS qualification.
I don't know. It's adjacent. I feel like that's an early 2000 film. Okay. Well, Kathy says she loves Rudy, so so maybe we have to consider that. I'm sure everyone who's listening at home is just like, "What's wrong with you, Katie?" Rudy is like an amazing. Everyone loves that movie, but yeah, I don't know. If I'm being honest,
Isn't it
I have
like
a
an
voice in my head.
all-American sports movie?
It is. It is. It is an all-American sports movie. Yeah. Well, we did it, and thanks so much for everyone for hanging out. And if you are here for the first time, I saw a couple of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. You can spend time with us I shouldn't say every. We're here most Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern to record these episodes, which then go out Fridays to everyone across all the different podcast players and YouTube. And we have an awesome website that has everything that you need to know. And it's also a great place to sign up for our emails so that if we miss a Thursday, you know about it and you know what the schedule is. So swing over to the VHSclubpod.com and that's where you can sign up for emails.
Our newsletter.
Yeah, we
I
definitely
haven't said that since like 2001.
We're taking it
back.
back.
We have a newsletter.
We're very on trend. But we maybe send out one email a week that's just a reminder on the episode. So I promise we don't spam you at all. Yeah, we're not.
Because I wouldn't read it otherwise. Never mind, like, add to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And eventually I will get my stream of consciousness, my Joycean thoughts on the movies we watch. I will blog those up on our website at some point. Though I didn't do any for Ernest. I don't apologize.
I'll put mine out there. We'll start with me. I will start with Ernest, and then Natalie will feel guilted into adding it.
It'll be like, Earth is amazing. Ernest is stupid.
Ernest
Full thoughts.
is brackets scared stupid. Yeah, I know. Paula's reminding me I can see the QR code in the future. I know. I've been promising on other streams that I will add the QR code, and I'm like scrolling through. I did do that, didn't we? I have it in the wrap. That's why, Paul. It's there. It's in the wrap, but I don't. I should have it here as well. I should have the ability to just pull it up, but I don't. And if you're listening, you're like, what the heck? I have a QR code that gets you to the site, but if you're listening, you can just remember, it's the VHSclubpod.com. That's the VHSclubpod.com. See? Joe and I are on the same page. Joe says, I never saw Rudy either and also avoided it for some reason. Joe and I are both like, why do we not like this movie? We don't know, but we feel some way about it. It's weird. We may have to dive into that, Joe, and figure out what it is about us that just does not like that movie. Maybe I like it. I just don't even know. I probably. Feels like that happens to me often.
Yeah. Could be.
Well, we did it. And we will see you all next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, with our special guests from If These Balls Could Talk. If you're a sports podcast person, definitely go over and check out their podcast. And yeah,
They're fun.
We
Yeah.
will be ready to dive into some craziness with all of our friends, all about the Sandlot, and then future episodes to come. We'll review our movie list, which you can find at the VHSclubpod.com. Thanks, Steph, for hanging out and for
Good
putting up with
night.
Ernest, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.
Kicking out, walking the scene with you in outfits from the 90s. So keen, the VHS Club, they're the talk of the town. Breaking it